Well, everyone, welcome to Halloween at Nintendo Prime.
All right. Oh, no more fooling around. It is. Oh, man, what's that on my head? Oh, my gosh. Oh. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of here at Nintendo Prime, going over a bunch of Nintendo news. We have a whole bunch of stuff for you for Switch 2 on this spooktacular day. We have some stuff going on where Nintendo has won yet another lawsuit, but this time against somebody who was streaming Nintendo's games before release and actually dared Nintendo, saying things such as, "I run these streets."
And I run these streets.
Oh, that's cool, man. I'm really trying to get into fitness too, you know?
Didn't think that would be a story today, but it is. We also have updates of the Japanese sales charts today. A game that we talked about on the Nintendo Byte podcast coming back in a collection. It kind of feels like at this point, the Nintendo Byte podcast is basically the manifestation podcast because things we talk about keep happening. We have some updates from Capcom. We have a brand new trailer for Monster Hunter Stories 3. We're going to watch the entirety of that. And yes, we have an update about Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Oh my gosh, there's so much to go over here, folks. I don't want to waste any more of your time, except to remind you, we are giving away 3 copies of Age of Imprisonment, 5 copies of Kirby Air Riders. There's some links down in the pinned comment or the description to enter for that stuff. Let's go ahead and dive into our first story here, and this deals with a lawsuit. So Nintendo wins a lawsuit against defiant pirate streamer Every Game Guru. Nintendo has secured a final judgment against Jesse Keenan, aka Every Game Guru. The gaming giant sued Keenan in 2024 after he streamed pirated copies of pre-release games. In correspondence with Nintendo's legal team, Keenan was initially defiant, but failed to defend the case against him. A Colorado federal court has now ordered the streamer to pay $17,500 in damages, but refused to issue an injunction against unnamed third parties or order the destruction of circumvention devices. For major companies like Nintendo, tackling online piracy isn't just about punishing individual infringers. It's about strategic deterrence. Filing lawsuits against casual gamers who may have made an isolated mistake is not a good look and could potentially backfire. Nintendo understands that and carefully picks its battles. The case against Jesse Keenan, better known under his gaming handle as Every Game Guru, exemplifies this approach. Filed in a Colorado federal court last November, Nintendo's complaint lists many alleged wrongdoings, including pre-release game streaming using pirated ROMs and distribution of circumvention tools. I run these streets. Defending a lawsuit filed by a multi-billion-dollar company can be a frightening prospect, but based on messages posted online, the defendant seemed undeterred. Instead of trying to avoid a legal disaster, Keenan apparently went on the offensive, showing no signs of giving in. "You might run a corporation, I run the streets," Keenan wrote in a Facebook post addressing Nintendo's legal team. They should have done more research before taking him on, the gamer wrote. I can't believe this is actually real. This is your response to being sued by a mega corporation? Should have done more research on me? Oh my gosh. Anyways, the defendant reportedly destroyed evidence and evaded Nintendo's attempts to serve him personally. Due to these complications, the court eventually allowed service via email and the home address of his mother, grandmother, and partner. Despite the defiant stance, Keenan did not respond to Nintendo's allegations, so the company requested a default judgment to continue the case without him. The gaming giant requested $17,500 in damages for copyright infringement, including streaming pre-release games and sharing links to emulators. This was a relatively modest request, as the potential maximum damages could have easily exceeded $1 million. In addition to the modest monetary damages, Nintendo also requested a broad permanent injunction to restrain the defendant from any infringing activities going forward, including the use of emulators such as Yuzu or Ryojinx. Nintendo said the injunction should apply to third parties working in concert with the defendant and require all infringing hardware and software to be destroyed. The courts do handle the win. In early October, Magistrate Judge Scott T. Varholik recommended granting Nintendo its requested $17,500 in damages and an order enjoining Keenan from future infringement. At the same time, the magistrate wrote that 2 of Nintendo's broader requests should be denied. The demand to destroy all circumvention devices was rejected as unclear and unreasonable, as the tools in question are mainly software applications available online. Essentially, destroying stuff wouldn't really matter because he's not dumping games himself. He's just getting them from the internet. So it's one of those hey, we understand what you're asking, Nintendo, but destroying computers that might have the emulator on or whatever, it doesn't really stop any of this, so it doesn't really even make sense. That said, the request to apply the injunction to third parties working in concert with Keenan should also be denied, as Nintendo did not specify any third parties or worked with them. So they just did like this broad, any third parties. Nintendo didn't know if there was any third parties working with them. They didn't specify any, so they can't actually get in trouble. Yesterday, the Judge Gallagher formally adopted the recommendation, effectively handing Nintendo the win. The judge's order notes that since no party filed objections, a full de novo review was not required. Finding no clear error in recommendation, Judge Gallagher adopted it in full. This means the damages award and the partially granted injunction are now final. While this is likely not the outcome Keenan had hoped for, without putting up a defense, it was mostly a lost case from the start. So, hey, buddy, you run these streets, all right? Should have done more research on who you're messing with. So much research, I'm not even going to defend myself, and now I have to pay Nintendo $17,500. Do you have $17,500? I don't know, but with such a low amount, it is possible that maybe your wages get garnished or some other means of collecting these sort of funds. Oftentimes when you get sued for millions and millions of dollars and you lose, and it's somebody who doesn't make a lot of money, there isn't really any way to recoup that money, and so it just kind of ends up being an IOU that's never getting paid. $17,500 though is much more reasonable and much easier to request and much easier to demand payments of. So anyways, guys, this is dumb. I don't know what this guy was doing. I mean, obviously he was streaming games illegally, downloading ROMs off the internet before games came out, being cocky about it, dared Nintendo. This is one of those F around and find out situations where I feel pretty much no ill will towards Nintendo in this. Streaming games before they come out and downloading ROMs, it's obviously illegal acts. Nintendo could have went harder. They didn't. They actually took it kind of easy. And we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Dude, this is just a weird story. I run these streets. What streets exactly do you run? The streets of owing Nintendo money? Because that's the street we're on. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and get into the story about the sales update from Japan yesterday. Japan, the Switch 2 sold 65,000 units. Legends EA, etc. ZZ Legends EA still top of the charts on Switch 1 at 195,000. It has now crossed 1 million units just on Switch 1. Then obviously we have the additional 71, almost 72,000 units on Switch 2, moving that to 684. That means it is now sold north of 107,000 1,700,000 plus. That's a lot of units, man. Pokemon continues to be a major seller in Japan. You see Mario Kart World Bundle at number 3, Once Upon Katamari 4, etc. You can see the rest of the list. As you scroll down, you see the hardware Switch 2 still on top at 65,000 units. So I don't know what to say. Nintendo basically owns the Japanese market at this point. I mean, it feels weird saying that, but everything is suggesting that they do. Now, I mentioned earlier that our podcast has this power of manifestation, and not too long ago, Thunderstash Gaming, myself, Eric, and Gamer, we were all talking about a game franchise known as James Pond, and it was kind of a joke, and I even made a joke reference like 2 episodes ago where I said my name is Pond, James Pond. And here we are today, and collection is coming. The PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Switch 2. It's called James Pond Legacy. The Pond is not enough. So the James Pond Legacy, The Pond is not enough, will be a celebration of one of gaming's most enduring and beloved characters. Will include faithfully emulated versions of the original Sega, SNES, and Amiga titles, preserving their classic gameplay exactly as players remember them. In other words, these aren't remastered, these aren't remade. They're exactly as you remember. Maybe they're up-res, we'll see here. We imagine it's highly unlikely the 2011 smartphone title James Pond in the Deathly Shallows would be included. Probably not, because it was not a very good game, just to be clear. They probably want to forget that the game even existed. It's coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox, Nintendo, Switch 2, etc. And it says, this isn't the only James Pond project in the works, as rival company GameWare Europe is working on a James Pond Rogue AI, a project that Pond creator Chris Sorrell isn't actually fond of. Speaking exclusively of the time extension earlier this year, Sorrell lamented the fact that the ownership of Pond is shared between GameWare and System 3. Unlike the whole situation, couldn't be any sadder, Sorrell said. These are the two companies fighting over these tepid scraps, just beggars belief. I don't obviously know the drama behind all that, but hey, the collection's coming of the games that people actually cared about and enjoyed back in the day. So that's really what matters here. The rest of that drama, I don't know. It can kind of go away in my mind. That said, we have something that is actually really exciting. How about a trailer for Monster Hunter Stories 3? They're calling this a pre-order trailer, and I haven't even watched it yet. So you know what? We're going to go ahead and watch it together.
What a spectacular view! This land is truly blessed.
It is, for now. But the encroachment keeps affecting more and more of it. Blightstone Woods, just for one example.
Take heart. The fact that you've preserved as much as you have is something to be applauded. Sites like this are a forgotten memory for us in Vermeil.
If Vermeil is to survive, our people need help now. If nothing else, the Sacrosanctum offers them the hope they need to live. I will not idly sit on the throne as our nation faces its death.
This has to stop!
Oh, Eleanor.
What? Don't do this!
A sky scale. It has been many years.
That woman with the Rathalos. I'm certain she was my mother. Why did she come here? For what reason did she cross the Meridian?
You're not the only one here who's curious about Lady Amara.
The future of Azuria rests on your shoulders, and you sat yourself down right in front of an assassin. Are you out of your mind?
I know this is a lot to take, but just try to remember the old saying. Wings of curiosity take you farther than a cage of caution.
Has the encroachment truly caused so much destruction over there? Scores of villages have been consumed by crystal. The capital is flooded with refugees, with nowhere to rest their heads.
Our village has long kept these canines as our wards. This is a threat to our very way of life. The dwindling of our canine population, the onset of feral beasts. All of it started when that monster came to this land. No, it would be more fitting to call it a force of nature.
This is it.
The living mountain, Yamatsukami.
Order up!
All right, as you guys can see, that's a pretty epic trailer for Monster Hunter Stories 3, coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, and obviously PC. Pretty good stuff there. Look, guys, this game is incredible. It's coming March 13th, so another big third-party game coming next year. I believe they even revealed this with the Switch 2. We're not done with the Monster Hunter Stories news, though. Stealth over here has a Monster Hunter Stories 3 will have a special side stories that provide additional storylines for important characters. So you can kind of see that here and kind of see kind of a brief preview of this. We'll link to this down below as well for those that want to dig deeper into Monster Hunter Stories 3. I'm really excited to see this game come over. And now we have to talk about the fact that it's actually a special anniversary of a number of things. I believe it's the anniversary of actually Luigi's Mansion 3. I believe that's the anniversary today. That came out on Halloween. I think it might even be the anniversary of like Mario Galaxy or something. One of the Mario games came out today, but that's not really what we're focused on. It's actually also the anniversary of Nintendo Music. Came out 1 year ago, and there's not really a whole lot in here, but it just says that, you know, they're going to be adding more. It's pretty much all this really says is, hey, it's been a great first year, and we're going to be adding even more stuff, which, I mean, of course they are. I just wanted to kind of bring it up because Nintendo themselves brought it up. And the last thing we're going to talk about is Age of Imprisonment. Yes, this is the next big game coming exclusively to Switch 2. Cannot play this anywhere else. There's not even emulators running for Switch 2 yet. Switch 2s haven't been hacked. Games haven't been dumped. It's like I told you guys, it might be a couple years before that happens. So right now, the only way to play this is if you own a Switch 2 and buy it for Switch 2, $70. Well, it is actually #1 on the eShop right now. This isn't really a surprise given it's an exclusive and it's coming next week. And obviously we're talking about #1 on just the Switch 2 side of the eShop. It won't even be available on the Nintendo Switch side of the eShop. You see it did beat out Legends EA that's been #1 since it came out. And then you see Dragon Quest 1 and 2, which released recently. You see Cyberpunk up there, Mortal Kombat, Donkey Kong Bonanza. You're kind of seeing a typical top 10, top 6 here for Switch 2, but it is presently #1, at least here in the United States. I just find this to be stupidly exciting because I'm really excited for Age of Imprisonment. I will be doing a live stream of the game on launch day. I don't know what time that live stream is at yet. Haven't really set any times for it, but we will be doing a live stream for it. So I want to, make sure that I let you guys know about that. I want to maybe advertise it a little bit more because we're going to be playing the first handful of hours of the game. It'll be a day stream, by the way. We'll be doing it during the day. It's not replacing our night stream. We will hopefully still get a news video out that day as well. I got to kind of see how things line up when I go pick up my physical copy. But thank you guys so much for being here. I am Nintendo Prime, and hey, happy Halloween. It's time for me to get this video out and go get all dressed up in my costume because, hey, not only do we have the trick-or-treating with the kiddos today, maybe a little bit of an adult party afterwards. Catch you guys in the next video.